Welcome, fellow castigators. Now, I know I promised in my last Doctor Who video that I would do a year-end roundup review of the 4 specials, but there was a lot more going on than I anticipated. But I can go over it in only a minute to give us a good look at our prospects for the new series. First, there was the Star Beast, where the Doctor didn't get to solve anything, and the day was ultimately won by some convenient magical nonsense from Donna. Then there was Wild Blue Yonder, which not only failed to get anywhere near the atmosphere of midnight, but in the end the Doctor didn't have to do anything but allow things to keep going exactly the way they were when he arrived. Thirdly, the Giggle, where the Doctor defeats the Toymaker by playing hacky sack. Lastly, the Church on Ruby Road, where the Doctor wins the day by being heavy. At least with that one, it was solved by a scientific device that the Doctor invented, so although the plot was paper thin, I have to give it points for that. In other words, the prospects for this new season are not very good, especially since the lead actor is an incorrigible racist, and the showrunner, who only came back because his political messages weren't going mainstream enough, is an excessively stupid person. But I am still willing to go forward with an open mind, seeing that horrible people make good media all the time. I mean, Hollywood has been doing it for a century now. Anyway, this weekend I watched Doctor Who Space Babies, so that you don't have to. Interestingly enough, there's no cold open, and then after the theme, the episode smartly picks up exactly where the Church on Ruby Road left off. The Doctor reiterates to Ruby that he's an orphan and not biologically from Gallifrey, which reinforces the timeless child for the 5th episode in a row. Damn, Russell T Davies really has a hard-on for this particular retcon. The Doctor continues by saying that Time Lords use titles that become their names, which is only half true because Time Lords do actually have names. I seem to remember an entire season that hinged on the Doctor's name being spoken. He also goes on to mention that he's the last of the Time Lords, which he strangely didn't seem very sad about. I guess bi-generation therapy really does work. The TARDIS lands in prehistoric Wyoming, where Ruby steps on a butterfly and turns into a freakish part-human, part-butterfly creature. The Doctor breathes life back into the butterfly, presumably with regeneration energy, and Ruby returns to normal. I won't even bother picking apart the paradoxical implications of what just happened. The TARDIS then crash lands upon a space station where the Doctor and Ruby are chased by a goopy green monster. They escape through an elevator and discover that the space station is a so-called baby farm, where babies are grown in tubes somehow. This should horrify Ruby, not only because this is a dystopian future where her baby-making job is stolen from her, but also because none of these children have loving parents waiting on the other side of the machine. However, Ruby is too distracted by the large window the Doctor has uncovered, looking down on a planet called Del Rio. The Doctor then sonics Ruby's phone and has her call her mother. I'm sorry, Russell, but I'm not going to fall for your shenanigans just because you recycled stuff from the end of the world. The Doctor and Ruby then meet some talking babies, who are milling about the station in electronic prams. The babies have scary CGI mouths when they talk, and the results are unsettling. No matter the expression from the voice or the mouth, the baby's eyes scream with terror. Did no one tell Russell that babies can't act, and no amount of Snapchat filter lips is going to mask how frightened they always look? But anyway, the babies scarily communicate that they want to find the parents that they don't have. Since the baby's increased intellect is unexplained, one of the baby asks the Doctor if she was born wrong. The Doctor consoles her and says that no one is ever born wrong, which is so incredibly transphobic. I am utterly ashamed of that bigot, Russell T Davies. I can't believe him. Anyhow, the babies have an AI nanny who tells them when it's time to blow their nose, and then efficiently collects it with robot hands. She informs them that the diaper changes will be at 1800 hours, and Ruby quips that she would like to see that. Would you, Ruby? Would you?
The crayon. The police! 911, what's your emergency?
The babies say that they are afraid of the big green monster they call the Bogeyman, and the doctor checks the system and sees that there's pressure building up in the back of the ship for unknown reasons. You can probably tell where they're going with all this. The doctor and Ruby discusses Ruby's mother, and it inexplicably snows inside the space station. The doctor looks scared and then heads to Portal 357, where they find that the computer nanny is actually controlled by an adult human woman named Jocelyn. She tells them that Del Rio is going through an economic recession, and the crew of the space station left the babies behind after they were fired. Jocelyn complains that she and the babies are refugees, whom no one will help, but I can't see how that's true in any sense. The doctor inspects the computer, which can see many parts of the ship and control some of its functions. They see on the monitor that baby Eric has decided to go after the bogeyman with a plastic sword. So the doctor and Ruby race to save him. The bogeyman screeches like a velociraptor and chases the three until some babies show up with a flamethrower to scare off the bogeyman. Hey, I think these babies have been playing Alien Isolation. The doctor and Ruby follow the green slime trail as Jocelyn tells them that the bogeyman appeared the same year the babies were born. Ruby gets Nickelodeoned by a slime tube, and the doctor finds a computer panel in a hallway that shows that the space station is 2 stacked sections. The upper section created the babies, and the lower section created the bogeyman. I feel like this information would have been on the other 2 computers the doctor looked at, or Jocelyn could have easily confirmed his suspicions. Apparently, the computer tends to the needs of the babies, which includes providing them with stories, which includes creating monsters. It's weird that this flaw in the system wasn't found out during experimentation, or found at any of the other baby farms. If you didn't figure out what the bogeyman is made out of the second it appeared on screen, then you don't deserve to live, because you are not smart enough to add anything useful to society. But of course, that begs the question, why is it green? Have the babies been constantly sick for the past 6 years? Who cares? The bogeyman chases the doctor and Ruby, and then Jocelyn traps it in an airlock. The doctor hilariously feels sorry for the bogeyman being the only one of its kind, so he risks his life and defies physics to close the airlock and save the bogeyman. The doctor and Ruby return to the bridge where Jocelyn agrees to become the single mother of the babies. I guess statistically most of them will grow up to be criminals. The doctor discovers that the pressure in the station is methane from the stockpile of diapers, so he decides to use it to propel the station to another planet with a big fart sound effect. Russell T. Davies really does love his fart jokes, doesn't he? It gives me PTSD from the Slovene that almost ruined a perfectly good season. Oh well, at least we got Harriet Jones out of it. Anywho, methane can only survive in space if it's kept cold, like the methane found on ice crystals on Mars or the refrigerated tanks of methane that we use for rocket fuel. So, good luck using your feces to propel a spaceship, Russell. Next, the doctor presents Ruby with a key, and they enter the TARDIS where the doctor says they can't visit Ruby's mother for paradox reasons, even though he didn't have a problem with it earlier. The TARDIS lands in Ruby's apartment and destroys the low ceiling. Ruby's adoptive mother and grandmother are celebrating Christmas together, which is very heartwarming to watch in May. As they exit the TARDIS, the interior begins to snow, and the episode ends. So, the babies get a mother, Ruby gets a TARDIS key, and the bogeyman has to spend the rest of his existence trapped in an airlock. Happily ever after if I ever heard one. Basically, the episode is simplistic, easily solved, and nowhere near entertaining enough to excuse its existence. I can't imagine this will win any new potential fans as intended. It's not gripping, it's not visually impressive, and it's certainly not clever in any capacity. The Doctor and Ruby are not well defined as characters, except one strange aspect where the Doctor seems to be consistently acting as his own hype man. This is his third appearance and his second solo episode, so by this point we should be able to see what's unique and interesting about this incarnation, and how the new actor handles some of the personality flaws that are present in every version. But I don't see either of those things. Ncuti Gatwa seems like a good actor, but so far he has not proved that he fits the role. His Doctor is relentlessly happy and goofy, not really doing anything but spitfiring dialogue energetically. It's almost like he's playing what people who don't watch Doctor Who think he's supposed to be like. It reminds me of how Jodie Whittaker played the role as a pale imitation of David Tennant's Doctor. I'm sure that Russell T Davies' sloppy writing doesn't give him much to work with, but there's probably also something to be said for Gatwa's lack of experience that holds him back from playing the Doctor with the complexity and gravitas that the character needs to have. Overall, these flimsy plots and weak character work is not at all reflective of RTD's previous work on Doctor Who, and it's disappointing to see such diminishing returns. I don't have much hope for the rest of the season, but I'm willing to keep an open mind as there are more writers and directors who will get their turn to show off in the coming episodes. Subscribe if you would like me to continue watching this series for you, and you'll hear from me soon with a report on the second episode, The Devil's Cord. Thanks for listening.